What is up, folks at home? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite ways to catch them in the fall, and that is high sticking a crankbait over top of submerged vegetation. Going to be a fun one today. Got lots of underwater, and we're going to talk about how I fish crankbaits in the fall. Let's go. Most of the time when people fish a crankbait, they're simply chucking it out there, winding it in, right? That is not what high sticking is at all. High sticking is visually fishing a crankbait over top of cover in order to get a very selective bite from fish, right? So what we're talking about here is, especially in the North Country, we have grass and we have submerged vegetation. And if you have a window of 4 to 5 feet over top of that vegetation, the crankbait bite can be incredible, right? Most of the time when you're fishing a crankbait, right, you're gonna chuck it out, you're gonna put that rod tip down like that so you've got a little bit of resistance, and you're gonna feel that bait along, and you're gonna focus on hitting that bottom as much as you can. Now, if you're fishing where I'm fishing, you got a lot of vegetation, this is what happens, right? A lot of guys, when they talk about crankbait fishing, they talk about fishing hard bottom or rock bottom and making contact with that bottom substrate in order to draw reaction bites. And that is the classic way to fish a crankbait. But you can fish a crankbait and fish it over top of stuff successfully and really drive into getting able to get this bait to buy you some bites in places where you normally couldn't. So when we're talking about high sticking, right, we're talking about steering that crankbait through cover, through lanes. Shell beds, hard spots are a great spot, but you can also fish these over top of vegetation, pause them, twitch them, do a bunch of stuff. So when I high stick a crankbait, it is just literally like this. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna see that visual stuff, I'm gonna keep my rod up high, right? And I'm gonna steer that and know that that crankbait's running 4 or 5 feet down. If I raise my rod tip up, it can run 2 to 3. And I'm gonna steer that crankbait around and literally pause it, give it, burn it, twitch it, burn it, pause it, do all kinds of stuff. And what I'm doing with that when I'm fishing is literally getting the most out of that crankbait, and I'm not wasting that cast. So it's an active retrieve just like this. I'm popping, twitching that bait along, burning it over top of that submerged vegetation. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping that bait out of trouble. Now, baits that I love to do this with are flat-sided crankbaits because they're responsive to this type of technique. Flat-sided baits also, for whatever reason, produce in this fall transition time period. So flat-sided crankbaits like the Rapala OG, the ones I got on the screen right here that I can't name, literally are going to produce because they've got a subtle wobble, they've got a hard flash on the side of them, and they look like schooled up bait fish. In the fall, we're talking bait fish everything, bait fish over everything in terms of they're corralling bait fish, they're pinning bait fish up. If you can go find a place where the bank is like a bend and a U, and it's basically like a corral and the wind is blowing in there, you can smoke fish high sticking a crankbait over top of vegetation. Now, when you're doing this, you want to have your gear dialed in. Absolutely flat-sided crankbaits, square bill crankbaits are going to work the best for doing this. You want a crankbait specific rod. Here I am fishing the Abu Garcia Ike series delay, and this is a 7.3 medium, right? I'm fishing a 7-to-1 gear ratio because I'm burning that lure in, and I'm fishing it on 10-pound fluorocarbon because I want to get the most out of my bait. Now, another thing to consider when I'm high sticking crankbaits is sunglasses and being able to visually see the lines, being able to visually see where I'm steering that bait. This is a very active presentation. It's almost like fishing a glide bait, if you will. So once again, we're looking, this is how I'm doing it. I'm throwing it out there, right? I know this is the lane that I want to bring it down. So literally I'm cranking that bait down 4 or 5 reel turns, letting it pop up, crank it down 4 or 5 reel turns, let it pop up, crank it down, high stick that bait, just like that. And what you get is fishing a crankbait almost like a swim jig in these places. Now, a lot of guys in the North Country do not do this. A lot of guys do not fish crankbaits because it's very hard to do this, and it's an active way to catch fish. One of my favorite memories of this is I went behind a guy fishing a line of docks. He thought I was crazy for throwing a crankbait through these lanes, and I just absolutely smoked fish left and right. And he stopped, and he was fishing a jig, and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you catching them on?" I showed him a DT6 from Rapala, and he was absolutely blown away that I was catching fish on a crankbait in a lake that was chock full of weeds. But if it's something that fish never see, then it can work out in your favor, right? I'm a big proponent of doing things differently. You know, kneeling and reeling was a big thing for a while. High sticking a crankbait is another way that you can catch fish. Guys, if you like what's going on the channel right now, give us a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what techniques you want me to break down. We like to help you guys out on the channel with whatever you need. So let us know in the comment section what you want to see in the future. Give us a like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.